Well, for more on the two sessions, we're joined now by Einar Tangen, Senior Fellow at the Taihe Institute and Chairman Asia Narratives in Beijing. Good morning, Einar.
Good morning, Gerald.
Hi there. So we have to start with President Xi Jinping's election. Under his leadership over the past decade, China really has adopted an unprecedented model of modernization. What for you has been some of the biggest advances under his term?
Well, quite frankly, it was about a very balanced approach to creating a better society. I mean, eradicating poverty. This is something that the UN said was not possible. China bared down. It was, a huge effort, but they have it done, and they're continuing, despite the economic headwinds, political headwinds, security issues, to concentrate on creating a better society, not just for the people at the top, but also those at the bottom. So that speaks volumes. I mean, it's amazing. I don't know if people noticed that this transition was all about a standing ovation and unanimity, sharp contrast to what has happened in the United States.
Absolutely. And so then we also have to talk about the other big news from the two sessions, the announcement of Saudi Arabia re-establishing diplomatic ties with Iran after a 7 years hiatus. And this was because of talks brokered by China. Could you talk about the significance of this development, Einar?
Well, despite the fact that it's not getting much play in the world press, this is monumental. This is the first, kind of real stab at peace that's been established without the United States being involved since World War II. You have two nations who have been at odds with each other, as you said, for 7 years, and they're now reestablishing diplomatic talks. Why is this important? Because it could lead to peace in the Middle East. Yemen, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, all of these areas have one thing in common, and that is that there is enmity and backing to one degree or another by these two different sides. If they come together and start issuing a diplomatic solution, this could be game-changing, and it really speaks to this issue about whether China is trying to uphold the international order and spread peace, or whether, as the narrative is many in the U.S. to say, that somehow China is not, that it's somehow a rogue nation. This clearly, by action, demonstrates that China is the one who is trying to make sure that we have a better and more peaceful world.
And I also need to sort of ask you to look ahead, because what does this say really about China's role on the global stage as a mediator for future conflicts?
Well, what's interesting about this is the way that China is doing this. They're not trying to impose any conditions on either side. What they're simply doing is acting as an honest broker, bringing them together and around the table and saying, listen, the future is not about more bombs, guns, and death. It's really about how we can do more trade. For China, yes, there are going to be talks about how this is important to China, and it is. The Middle East is a source of energy for China. It will continue to be so. Having it peaceful and having, literally less confrontation is good, not only for China, but for the entire world. But, my concern is that others might see this as a threat and try to actively try to derail it. Hopefully, all sides, in terms of Iran, Saudi Arabia, and China, will see any attempts to unravel this as simply that.
Right, not imposing conditions. That key difference right there. Einar Tangen, always good to speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald.